The year was 1927. It was a time when the world was still recovering from the aftermath of the Great War, and the Roaring Twenties were in full swing. Jazz music filled the airwaves, and the economy was booming. Yet, in the small rural township of Bath, Michigan, life moved at a different pace. Bath Township, Michigan, was a picture of rural tranquility. Nestled amidst the rolling hills and vast farmlands, it was a place where the hustle and bustle of the city felt a world away. The community was tight-knit, and everyone knew each other by name. Rolling farmlands stretched as far as the eye could see. The landscape was dotted with barns and silos, and the fields were a patchwork of green and gold, depending on the season. Farmers worked tirelessly from dawn till dusk, tending to their crops and livestock. The scent of freshly tilled soil hung in the air, a testament to the hard work and dedication of the farming community. The rhythm of life was dictated by the changing seasons, and each day brought with it a new set of tasks and challenges. Children laughed and played in the shadow of the local schoolhouse. Their carefree voices echoed through the fields as they chased each other and played games. The schoolhouse was more than just a place of learning. It was a symbol of hope and progress for the community. Life moved at a slower pace, governed by the rhythms of the earth and the changing seasons. Spring brought the promise of new beginnings. Summer was a time of hard work and growth. Autumn was the season of harvest, and winter was a time of rest and reflection. It was a place where neighbors knew each other by name. They gathered for community events, shared meals, and supported each other through thick and thin. The sense of camaraderie and mutual respect was palpable. People looked out for one another. Whether it was helping with a barn raising, lending a hand during harvest, or simply offering a kind word, the residents of Bath Township embodied the spirit of community. They felt safe and secure, the streets were quiet, and children walked to school without fear. It was a time when doors were left unlocked, and trust was the foundation of the community. The Bath Consolidated School stood proudly at the heart of the community. It was a beacon of education and progress, a place where the future leaders of Bath were being shaped. Its brick facade and well-tended grounds spoke to the townspeople's pride in their children's education. The school was a source of immense pride, and its presence was a testament to the community's commitment to the future. The school was more than just a place of learning. It was the social hub of Bath, hosting town meetings, dances, and celebrations. It was a place where memories were made and lifelong friendships were forged. Within its walls, children from all walks of life gathered. They came together to learn, to grow, and to dream of a brighter future. The classrooms were filled with the sounds of laughter and the excitement of discovery. They learned, they laughed, they forged bonds of friendship that were expected to last a lifetime. The school was a place of joy and hope, a sanctuary where the innocence of childhood was cherished. No one could have imagined the horror that lurked beneath the surface of their peaceful existence. The tranquility of Bath Township was about to be shattered in the most unimaginable way. No one suspected that a storm was brewing, one that would shatter their idyllic world forever. The signs were there, but they were subtle, easily overlooked in the daily routines of life. The residents of Bath went about their daily routines, oblivious to the danger lurking in their midst. They trusted their neighbours. They believed in the inherent goodness of their community. The bonds of trust and friendship were strong, and there was no reason to suspect that anything could disrupt their peaceful existence. They had no reason to suspect that a monster walked among them, a man consumed by rage and driven by a thirst for revenge that would soon plunge their world into darkness. The facade of normalcy hid a simmering cauldron of resentment and anger. The name Andrew Kehoe meant little to most. He was just another resident, a farmer who went about his business like everyone else. He was a quiet, unassuming farmer. To the outside world, he appeared to be just another hard-working member of the community. But beneath his unremarkable exterior simmered a deep well of resentment, ready to boil over with devastating consequences. His mind was a labyrinth of dark thoughts and unfulfilled desires, and the storm that was brewing within him would soon unleash a tragedy that would forever change the town of Bath. Andrew Kehoe was an enigma to many in Bath. His presence was both commanding and unsettling, a man whose life was marked by a series of contradictions and complexities. He was a man of contradictions, intelligent but quick-tempered, a person who could be both charming and abrasive in the same breath. Hard-working but prone to disputes, Kehoe's life was a constant battle between his ambitions and his temper. Born in 1872, Kehoe had experienced his share of hardships. His early years were marked by struggle and sacrifice. His family struggled financially, and he had to drop out of school at a young age to work on the family farm. This early responsibility shaped his character, making him both resilient and resentful. Life had taught him to be resourceful, but it had also instilled in him a deep-seated bitterness. He often felt that life had dealt him an unfair hand. He saw himself as a victim, constantly overlooked and underestimated. This perception fueled his anger and sense of injustice. Kehoe's marriage to Nellie Price offered a brief respite from his struggles. Their union was a beacon of hope in his otherwise tumultuous life. Nellie, a kind and gentle woman, brought joy into his life. Her presence was a soothing balm to his troubled soul. They purchased a farm together on the outskirts of Bath, and for a time Kehoe seemed content. The farm was a symbol of their shared dreams and hard work. He took pride in his property, meticulously tending to his crops and livestock. His dedication to the farm was evident in the way he managed every detail with precision. He even served as the school board treasurer, a position that hinted at a desire for respect and recognition within the community. This role gave him a sense of purpose and belonging. However, fate had other plans for Kehoe. His life took a dark turn that would forever change him. Tragedy struck when Nellie fell ill and died, leaving him devastated and alone. Her death was a blow from which he never fully recovered. The loss of his wife seemed to break something in Kehoe. His grief was profound, and it manifested in ways that alienated him from those around him. His already short temper worsened, and he became embroiled in constant conflicts with his neighbors. These disputes further isolated him from the community. He railed against increased taxes, blaming the new consolidated school for his financial woes. His anger towards the school became an obsession. He grew increasingly isolated, withdrawing into a world of his own making, a world consumed by bitterness and a desire for revenge. His thoughts became darker and more vengeful. The townspeople, initially sympathetic to his plight, began to distance themselves, viewing him as an eccentric and troublesome figure. His behavior became more erratic, and his once respected position in the community was now a distant memory. Kehoe's descent into darkness was a slow and painful process. His determination, once a source of pride, now fueled his destructive path. As he stood on his farm, the weight of his losses and grievances bore down on him. The man who once sought respect and recognition was now consumed by a desire for retribution. The storm brewing within Kehoe was about to unleash its fury on the unsuspecting town of Bath. His descent was complete, and the consequences would be devastating. Unbeknownst to the unsuspecting community, a sinister plot was brewing in the depths of Kehoe's mind. He was a man driven by a dark and twisted sense of justice, a man who felt wronged by the very people he once called neighbors. Fueled by rage and despair, he began to hatch a plan, a horrific act of vengeance that would forever scar the town of Bath. His anger was not a sudden burst, but a slow-burning fire that had been kindled over years of perceived slights and injustices. He would strike at the heart of what he perceived as the source of his misery, the Bath Consolidated School. This institution, which stood as a beacon of progress and hope for the community, became the focal point of his malevolent intentions. He would turn their symbol of progress and hope into a tomb, burying their children beneath its rubble. The very thought of it gave him a perverse sense of satisfaction, a feeling that he was finally taking control of his destiny. Over the course of several months, Kehoe meticulously plotted his revenge. Each step was carefully considered, each detail painstakingly planned. He was a man on a mission, and nothing would deter him from his path. He used his electrical expertise to tamper with the school's wiring, rigging the building with a deadly web of explosives. His knowledge of electrical systems, which he had acquired over years of work, became his most dangerous weapon. He stockpiled dynamite and pyritol, powerful explosives capable of causing unimaginable destruction. These materials were not easy to come by, but Kehoe's determination knew no bounds. He scoured the countryside, gathering what he needed piece by piece. He worked in secret, his true intentions masked by his quiet demeanor and solitary nature. To the outside world, he was just a man going about his business, but inside a storm was brewing. No one suspected the dark thoughts that consumed him, the meticulous planning that went into his horrific scheme. He was a master of deception, hiding his true self behind a facade of normalcy. Kehoe's meticulous nature extended beyond the technical aspects of his plan. He was not just an engineer of destruction, but a strategist, carefully considering every possible outcome. He carefully observed the school's schedule, noting the times when the building would be most crowded. He knew that timing was everything, and he wanted to ensure that his act of terror would have the maximum impact. He studied the layout of the school, ensuring that his explosives would inflict maximum damage. Every hallway, every classroom was scrutinized, and he knew exactly where to place his deadly devices. He even calculated the exact amount of dynamite needed to bring down the entire north wing of the building, where the younger children attended classes. His calculations were precise, leaving nothing to chance. His plan was not a random act of madness, but a carefully calculated act of terror designed to inflict the greatest possible pain and suffering. Kehoe's mind was a labyrinth of dark thoughts and twisted logic, and he believed that his actions were justified. In his eyes, he was not a villain, but a man taking a stand against a world that had wronged him. The community of Bath would never be the same again, forever haunted by the memory of Kehoe's calculated preparations.